background.
That was because of Tiger. He does that. Okay.
I just
Awesome.
I was just on there trying to figure out the settings and stuff too. I don't actually, luckily enough, get on here very often.
I was just telling her how you had your first Zoom the other day.
Very first, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to really thank y'all very much. I know we're on like 3 different schedules. You know, still at 6 o'clock in LA. You're at 9 a.m. in the morning in Indonesia, which is fantastic. I think this is so exciting. So
I'm
I
so
really
impressed that you were able to figure out all of our times independently. I was super impressed.
Yeah, that's not easy.
Oh yeah, no problem. I was like, what would work? I know 6 o'clock works, and I was like, 9 o'clock might not be too bad, you know, depending on what you have to do, you know. And so I was like, okay, 8 o'clock works for me, so that it all worked out perfectly.
Great.
So I really appreciate each of you on here. And so I might be taking notes as we go because I'm going to type it up as well as a part of it. So Muscadine Magazine, I recently graduated from LSUS in Louisiana with my MBA. And
Okay.
I am also an artist. So I wanted to bring something to the world that is a very positive art publication to showcase artists that are contemporary artists, but also I think that fashion design is a part of that. Or at least I get excited about it. So I think that it should be, and it's not really shown a lot, you know, unless you see it on America's Next Top Model or this designer or something like that. So I think that that should be a part of it because that is art. That is, you know, and like y'all's work is incredible. So that's where Muscadine came from, Muscadine Magazine came from. And I really appreciate y'all coming on and doing this interview.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
So I am recording it. I might edit some of the first part of it, but I am going to post it on the website as well. Because I think it'd be cool because people be like, oh, those are the actual people, you know. To me, that would be exciting. I would like to see that. So I might be taking some notes as we go or whatever. But if y'all are ready, I could just go ahead and jump right in.
Sure.
Right. Okay, cool. So I actually, for all the different social media and what have you, I might ask y'all to send that over to me in case there's like you know, whatever kind of, if you have like a underscore or something like that. So for the different social media, because I'm going to put that on the website. And then I'm also going to cross promote it on all the different social media channels as well. So that I'll just ask for y'all to send to me. And I'll send that to y'all after the interview or whatever. But who inspired you in your early in your career to actually become fashion designers?
I would say that will be interesting to see our different answers because we don't know. I don't know what he's going to say, but I would say for me it was just the early punk rock influences and people like Vivienne Westwood who kind of brought that into the, I don't want to say mainstream, but like into the public light. I feel like there's always been this like resistance to punk being in high fashion, or this, you know, you're a diehard punk fan, but it kind of always eliminated just being on the fringes or where we come from. We were born and raised in Canada in a small town. So now I live in LA, and, you know, looking at back then, like we played basketball. So that meant that of course we listened to Wu-Tang and we listened to hip hop and we listened to punk rock. And it was kind of like, that kind of shaped who we are, but I had no idea I would end up living in LA and listening to those radio stations and listening to that music, and you know, kind of like coming from that background. What do you say, Beau?
Yeah, I same kind of vein. I've never really followed, and especially when in our early days followed fashion designers or that kind of fashion. So I can't say that I was ever really inspired by a particular fashion designer, but it was counterculture, fashion, and bit of fashion that was most inspiring to me.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
Okay. Well, that's great. That's great. So when did you begin your career in fashion design, and were you trained or self-taught?
We
Definitely
were
not trained.
no formal training at all.
Well, that's good because it just shows that you don't have to be, in order to be successful.
What was the beginning, Dust? How far back do we go?
I'm sorry. Just whenever. If it was whenever you were 5, if it was whenever. The first, what began, what led you up to it, anything.
Who's going first?
I could go. We actually first started making little leather bracelets when we were, how old were we both? 6, 7 years old, something like that. Years old.
Yeah, when we first started, but we started selling them when we were like, what was it, like 11, 12 or something?
Yeah, we started making these little leather bracelets, and then I guess from there, it kind of just, it eventually, we started out making jewelry, and we were in the festival world, electronic music festival world, part of.
But before that, the little leather bracelets we sold at the gift shop of a water slides in our hometown.
Okay.
So that was part of us working together. Yeah, and it's we've been
11 years old,
Yeah, we've kind of been always figuring out a way to make money. And our parents didn't ever have a lot of money, but they also were kind of entrepreneurs and had several successful and failing small little businesses. And I think that kind of inspired us to know that you can kind of create your own reality, and there's no blueprint of how you're supposed to live or what you're supposed to do. It was kind of like they survived or thrived, and it was actually like a really good lesson for us without even knowing it.
That's awesome.
So then moving on from, like Dust was saying, it was making those little beaded leather bracelets at the gift shop of the water slides, and then kind of transitioned into selling at markets and festivals and craft markets, things like that, and then on to selling at the Warp Tour. We would
awesome.
follow the Warp Tour dates, selling our all of our leather cuffs and bracelets and bags and stuff like that. But that was like the first thing of like making, taking a belt and cutting it up and adding studs and turning it into a bracelet, or that kind of stuff was kind of like the beginning. Wouldn't you say, Dust? We also did jewelry that we were selling at, total polar opposites. We'd go from selling at the Warp Tour, selling punk bracelets to kids to, we were making nice festivals, but we were also in between there selling at like artist markets, selling like middle-aged women's jewelry.
Turquoise, we both really loved turquoise and always have, and so we kind of catered to that eccentric, I'd like to stereotype, but like the middle-aged woman that's dripping in bling of, and we were really into turquoise and silver, so we kind of started with that. And so we had kind of like opposite worlds that we were in, but we never, and to this day we do a bunch of different things and never kind of pinholed ourselves in one thing. We never wanted to be like, this is the one thing we do. We've always just kind of explored different mediums. So yeah, it's kind of kind of a long, there's not like a straight path to where we are
It
now.
never is, and that's okay.
Yeah, okay.
It never is, and that's okay. That definitely is. So Jungle Tribe, what inspired that name?
That was, we were really into drum and bass and jungle electronic music at the time. And we also we were living in Taiwan after we finished college. We kind of like, we both got degrees and huge student loan debts. And we just kind of flew to Taiwan on a whim and tried to find jobs teaching English. And while we were there, we were still making jewelry, and we started traveling around Asia and finding all kinds of really amazing materials. We flew to Bali for the first time, Thailand, Malaysia, all over. And so we were going from living in Taiwan, which is we viewed it as a concrete jungle. And then we were flying to Bali, and then we were also in Thailand in the jungle. And so it was just like this, I don't know, just this common theme of like, it didn't matter if we were in the actual jungle or the concrete jungle, it all had the same kind of vibe to us. And so that's kind of where the name started. Wouldn't you say?
The tribe came not so much from an actual jungle tribe, but we kind of had like a community of people that were interested in the same kind of aesthetic and music and style and things. When not necessarily, but you know, that there was this kind of community forming around us, and we kind of felt it was like our tribe. So we wanted everyone to feel like they were kind of part of us and part of what we were doing, and we were open and welcome to everyone. So it was kind of just like this, the two words kind of came together.
Now,
Back then, tribe was also tribe.net was also like the precursor to like the Facebook era. It was like the Burning Man festival culture all kind of communicated on there. And I don't think that really had I don't know if we came up with the name before then or not, but it was kind of.
It's at the same time. And then there was Stussy Tribe too. Like when we were young, that was probably our big influence brand wise was Stussy Tribe. Like that was such a cool brand. So I don't know. I guess that definitely was probably part of it too. We're like, hey, yeah.
No, that's great. That's great. So what is the best piece of advice that you've received throughout your career that you could possibly hand down to other fashion designers and other artists?
For me, I would say the best advice, or not advice. We've never had a mentor, someone who gave us advice of what we should do. There's no like manual you can reference on how do you do any of this stuff. But I do think to this day, if I think of any advice that I would give to somebody, would be to read Bobby Hundred's book. What's it called?
This is not.
Yeah, This Is Not a T-Shirt. And it's phenomenal. Like I never really was into his brand that much. He's got the atom bomb symbol. That was a big part of the streetwear. He's kind of like, he was at the forefront in the beginning of the streetwear movement. And the book is just phenomenal because it traces his kind of path of how he, got success. And it's just like us. They were just misfits kids in Southern California at punk rock shows and weed pasting and in the blog era. And it's a phenomenal book because he writes about how do you collab with a brand? Like there's no, you can't just Google like, you see all these brands collabing now. It's a thing, but you're like, how do I do that? Well, he addressed that in his book. It's a really amazing book. He's such a good writer. He grew up, like I say, in the blog world, and his whole brand became what it is because of blogging. And to this day, he's just a really good writer, and he's always giving back to the community and trying to help with, he doesn't hide any secrets. So I would say that's like the biggest turning point. If I was like, if somebody wanted to start a brand, I'd be like, definitely read that
Well, I'm
book.
sold. I'm gonna go look it up right now. Like as soon as I get off the interview with y'all, I'm gonna go check it out because I think I love that kind of information.
Yeah, I think it's a phenomenal book. What do you think, Beau? Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, that's a really good book. I love everything that he said in there. Um, yeah, I think I can't remember one poignant piece of advice from anyone, but along the way, I've had different people just encourage us to do what, um, just to focus on what we like doing and what we like creating. And it doesn't matter so much how people interpret it or what their reaction is to it, but to just carry on doing what you think is cool. And if you like it and you're happy with it, then that's all that kind of matters. Because as we found throughout the years, we often will make something and no one will really be into it, it won't sell. But then years later, all of a sudden, that item just gets really popular and starts selling. And we're at the point where we're over it. We don't even like it anymore. We don't even like looking at it. But all of a sudden, it's the thing that everyone wants. So
Right.
I think that is like one lesson we kind of learned, and then people from the outside were like, don't let what the reaction of the outside world to what you make, to what you create, have an effect on it. Just keep doing what you like or are passionate about.
And I think that's also, I think it's important to mention that when you asked us about our business name, we actually have two distinct brands. We have Jungle Tribe, and then the other one is Dustin and Beau. It's just our names, and that's the same thing where we felt like Jungle Tribe became this thing of a certain, a certain look and aesthetic, and we started the new brand, which is just our names, because we didn't want to have to fulfill any preconceived notion of what it is. So that brand was basically, it's just us making leather jackets and, definitely again with punk and metal but also, vaporwave, and there's all these different influences now, and it's colorful. It used to be like Mad Max and dark and hardcore. Yeah. Now it's just all over the board. But that brand we started with the intention of just being true to ourselves and making what we wanted and not worrying if it was ever going to sell. We had Jungle Tribe was established enough that we knew that we could spend time and put our energy into it, and we wouldn't care if we were going to sell units or a piece or anything. And luckily we had Jungle Tribe already running, so it kind of set the tone to enable us to do that. But from the start, it's hard. I wouldn't advise someone to just do whatever you want and say fuck it to everyone else.
Yeah.
But I think after you get established, you can do that and say, okay, I'm going to make this for me. I don't care. Like, you can interpret it how you want. You can take it or leave it. And so that's fortunately where we're at now, where we can kind of be like that.
That's a good point. Yeah. For new artists starting out trying to sell their items, if you're trying to make your art into a business, then in the beginning you do kind of have to make some compromises sometimes, but hopefully
in the long run, hopefully you can do what you want, and not.
That's the goal. Is to not.
Right. That's what I've been seeing from other artists that I've interviewed. A lot of them say that they do have to make some sacrifices initially, but eventually in the end it doesn't matter, because the market, there's so much out there and so many different tastes that there's a market for almost everybody.
Exactly. Yeah, we are in the most counterculture kind of market there is, that niche that people would say like, how can you even survive in it? But I think maybe now that actually does become an advantage, because if you want to try and compete with the fast fashion world, good luck. It's like how are you going to, right? Like, you got to carve out your own niche.
Yeah. So how do you think social media has enhanced or hindered your business, and what is your favorite platform?
For me personally, I think that social media is the devil, but it's the necessary
Yeah.
devil because you can't really survive without it. So, you know, I hate the fact that I go on there to do a post or do something, and then I find myself scrolling, and you know, it's definitely a love hate. I would say my our favorite because of success, or my favorite would be Pinterest, just because I mean, your wildest ideas, you find one image on there that looks amazing, and before you know it, you're just deep into a world you didn't even know exists. But I don't really know if that's quite in the social media aspect.
It is. It
It
is.
is,
I
yeah.
would have to say it is, because you get a lot of, you can get a lot of traction. You get I would say yes.
Yeah. Okay. I think TikTok. I've heard that it's going to be pulled in the States soon, but I just like the
I hope
idea.
not.
Is not? Is it that's a
Well, they say it is, and then they're not, and then but then you can download it, then you can't download it, but then
right?
it's still there. Like I have it, and so like I'm like waiting, kind of waiting. I'm like, who's gonna buy it? Is Microsoft? Is Oracle? Who's
Right.
gonna?
Yeah. Right. Right. That would be the next step, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so like I'm not real sure exactly. So I'm like kind of waiting on that, because I'm not gonna like really invest any time into it, because
Right.
if it gets pulled, then well, okay, all of that is wasted effort, right?
Yeah.
So
Completely.
I have no idea what's going to happen with that.
I think it looks. I've never used it, but I just think it. But I love the it's kind of this raw, unfiltered, not filtered, but like just this realness to it. And I think it would be fun to make funny videos with it. But you know, it's another one of those things where like, oh yeah, we should set up a TikTok account. We should be. But at the end of the day, it's like, yeah.
It's overwhelming to be on every social media platform. And we at times have passed off that work and hired people doing that for our end, and we struggle with it because there's so many channels and avenues. But if we, like Dust was saying, we both, I feel like I like going on Pinterest the best out of all of them, and I feel like I should be on there more, and that's what we should be focusing on more, because when we look at our analytics, we're actually getting the most amount of hits from Pinterest out of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we get sucked into thinking that we always need to post on Instagram, and we need to keep up our stories and all of this stuff to keep relevant. But Instagram is like a business card, not a business card, like a portfolio or like a resume. So a lot of things with working with stylists and getting our stuff onto celebrities and things like that comes from there. So it's kind of, again, another necessary evil that we don't love, but it's something that we have to do.
So I know that this question isn't on there, but you just said something, and I have to ask: Are any of your pieces on celebrities or been worn by celebrities? And can you disclose that? If not, that's okay too. But I just thought I'd ask.
Go ahead, Dust.
Yeah, I mean, the most recent biggest thing for us is Lady Gaga.
Oh my God! I interviewed another artist who did her helmet for Chromatica.
Oh, cool. Do you remember the artist's name?
Yeah. It's Christian Medici.
Okay. I think I maybe remember seeing. Yeah. Okay.
And so she the helmet with the things coming out of it and everything. She's got a picture and everything. He was actually a big fish that I didn't think would even talk to me, like y'all. Like I didn't think y'all would even talk to me. But I asked anyway, and he answered me, and he you know, I mean, I didn't talk to him even via Zoom. He like messaged me back and forth and everything. But that's so cool that y'all did in Lady Gaga as well. That's incredible.
That's kind of one of those things in your life where you're like, okay, I feel complete as an artist now, because not only because of the fact that we got to put some pieces on her in in a couple videos, and then I actually did a custom jacket for a couple different events coming up, and then
for the release of her Channeling Kindness book, right? Like you wrote Channel Kindness on it, and right?
and she was gonna wear it to that book signing, but then COVID hit and that never happened, and then she ended up being at home, I think, when everything shut down, and she took a photo on her Instagram, and she's actually got the jacket in her hands, and I can tell she's just thrilled to have it. So
awesome.
yeah, no, that's one of the things too, where you feel really, you're like, okay, like I put like a lot of work in a real tight framework, because it's always like everything is always really fast with that.
That's what he said as well. That's what he said.
Yeah.
He said that it was like boom, boom, boom. You got to hurry up, so.
Yeah, they're like, you're gonna have like time on this one, and then like minutes later I get the email, actually you have 72 hours, and I'm like, but I actually like the pressure of like, because Beau and I could sit, Beau works on a piece for sometimes up to a year of it sitting on his workshop table and just tinkers at it here and there, but this was like, okay, I got to get this thing done, and with the time frame, you just go straight to making decisions and you don't look back. You're just like, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to just keep adding and layering and texturing, and so yeah, that was pretty cool. And there's still stuff in the works possibly.
Awesome.
I think with her, for me, it wasn't so much like, I mean, that was special for Dust. He worked on that 100% on his own for the Channel Kindness. For me, I had made this spiky kind of vest jacket years and years ago, and it never really got any love, or no one really got it. And somehow it got pulled for her graduation speech and to the class of 2020 during COVID. And I feel like her speech was like almost brought me to tears and was empowering. And I mean, with all of these different issues and things going on during the times, it was like to hear a celebrity like that with that much reach speak the way she did was like, for me, that felt like an accomplishment.
Right.
Not, you seeing your stuff worn in a video, that's cool. But when you see someone delivering like a powerful message to like the youth of today, that's like that in a jacket that's fierce, not dainty. It's like that felt like an accomplishment. So that was something that's really cool. There's been other people other than Lady Gaga, but that's probably the biggest, right, Dust?
Well, yeah, and then I got to meet Perry Farrell as well. He had a jacket and he just loved it so much. And before you know it, I'm in the rehearsal studio, and he's like giving me props for this thing I did for him. And in my mind, I'm just like, that was the first Lollapalooza, which was like the farewell tour of Jane's Addiction, was the first concert we went to when we were 14 years old. So, just like, if I picture myself at 14 looking years later, I'm living in LA, which I never thought I would be, and I'm in his rehearsal studio. He's telling how much he loves this jacket and this imagery on it and all this stuff, and I'm just like,
that's incredible. That is so awesome.
But I mean, and again, like that, but that doesn't, that the humbleness and being like, all that stuff, it could have not happened in life, and I still would feel probably okay and proud of where we're at. But it just definitely, when it's someone that you look up to, who's giving you props, you're like, wait a minute, this is a total reversal, so.
Right. Totally understand. So how would you describe each of your personal style?
Yeah, that's hard. I'm a dad, so I'm like hashtag dad life, my style is like probably the same it's been for a long time. Just I wear like a distressed shirt and some G-Star jeans because they fit well, and something breathable because I live in LA, and that's about it. I mean, I love my flair is my shoes. I have like Beau will attest. I have like a massive shoe collection, and
So many shoes.
but I wear them. I wear them. I rotate them.
What kind of shoes?
Everything like my latest. I have got these Pumas that are like kind of like almost a tie-dyed fly knit kind of texture. Converse kicks. I have like every different color possible.
He's even done all the different customizations where you order all the, you
Oh
pick
yeah, I
on
forget that you can do that.
Yeah, you can, and you can do it with
Yeah.
Vans too. You can do it with a lot of different companies. It's you can customize your own shoes. It's amazing.
So what about you, Beau, in Bali? What I don't even know. I'm sure it's beautiful there. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's hot. So it's kind of hard to. I actually, don't like dress up too much or don't really think too much about my personal fashion or style or anything because it's more just like functional. What you can wear without sweating too much.
Yeah.
It's like what I enjoy is going to a city and somewhere that's not too hot and being able to wear layers and that's what I kind of look forward to. So, but yeah, we both kind of have like a streetwear style. I would say streetwear has been kind of always our thing. We never really get too, even though we make a lot of stuff that people think is like dark or goth or whatever. I mean, I don't know. We wear all kinds of stuff when it comes right down to it.
Yeah. So what would be something that, like, if you were to go out and you were to wear, what's like a go-to piece of yours that you're like, I'm always going to wear this or that? Something that maybe you feel the most confident in.
I mean, here I've been making like cutoff, not what I'm wearing now because I'm in aircon, but like a cutoff sleeve shirt. I started making them. The pattern's really easy. You don't need to worry. They're kind of like one size fits all. My girlfriend will borrow it and wear it as like an oversized shirt that she just has to wear that. I can wear it with just a pair of shorts or jeans. That's kind of my go-to here.
Okay.
It's one of those things that I've made for myself over and over and over again. And people are like, why aren't you selling these yet? And I'm like, oh yeah, we should. But sometimes, you just make something to wear for yourself.
Pardon me for a second.
It's a good indicator if we make it for ourselves and we end up wearing it. Gus, what do you think? Wait till soon.
Sorry.
Dog attack.
I shut the door. My dogs were barking, and they're still barking. Sorry about that, guys.
But I got a dog too. It happens to be out on a walk. Jewelry. I always wear like these chains never come off, so that is kind of, I guess that's my go-to is like I always have rings and these bracelets for life. I used to wear a lot of necklaces, but I don't know. I just dad life.
Yeah, you probably got into a habit because children like to pull on your necklace. So maybe like you stopped wearing them because they would pull on them all the time. I know that I don't wear a lot of jewelry for that reason.
Yeah, it's not a necessity.
So I know that your current obsession, Dustin, are your shoes. Do you have any others? And what is your, or more than one, a current obsession, Beau?
What is my current obsession right now?
Well, we expand to maybe not only what you personally wear, but what you like making that you see other people.
Yes, that's great too.
What is my current obsession? I mean, just lately, I've been making a lot of tech wear style accessories to go. I mean, so my go-to thing is bags. So like sling bags, shoulder bags, fanny packs, all that kind of stuff.
Well, because you're also on a motorcycle all the time, so you want your phone like right here. You want like everything.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and that's what kind of Jungle Tribe started out as, or not started out as, but has morphed into, is like functional gear that you can wear and hold all your stuff. And lately, what I've been working on is like a sling bag that you can wear that you don't really feel is on, but you can still come and access all your things. So, for example, riding a motorcycle, you can get at all your stuff. And with the tech wear, I've been kind of obsessed with high quality locking fasteners and clips, and in a nerdy stuff, but like high quality soft nylon webbing. Those are like the things I've been like really nerding out on, and trying to make like bags that are functional and really like strong and sturdy, that will last a really long time. And also it's cool. I like all of that kind of tech wear look right now.
Awesome. So this is probably kind of like earlier, where do you draw your inspiration from? Colors or texture, or I mean, I would have to say that would be counterculture. That would probably be the answer to that question. What do y'all think?
I mean, inspiration right now, oh, go ahead, Des. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good.
It's kind of like there's not like a collective conscience in a way when it comes to like inspiring kind of like movements. For a long time, I've been into these like colors of like pink, purple, blue. That is kind of like, for me, is like looking at a sunset. And then like I've been making that kind of stuff, and then one of our friends, Gina, she came over to our studio, and she's like, "Oh yeah, this is so vaporwave." And I said, "What, vaporwave?" She's like, "Yeah, it's called vaporwave." So then I looked it up online, and you Google vaporwave, and you go down this whole rabbit hole of this color palette that I've really been into. But it's like this kind of 80s electronic, 80s, 90s, early video game, early computer era vibe. Okay. Combined with like sunsets and palm trees. It's this whole kind of thing, and lately that I was into that color palette and that kind of thing, and didn't know there was even a name for it. So lately that's kind of inspiring. But everything is like an inspiration to me wherever I go, whether it's like, looking at a sunset or looking at a tree and seeing a texture. It's like colors, textures, palettes, all kind of are inspirations. Going to a city, seeing cement even, and walls and buildings is there's so many different inspirations that come from all over, but it's just like identifying with something and then being inspired by it.
Right. So what about you, Dustin?
Well, what I thought I should mention is definitely our earlier influences were a lot of animal skin textures, like crocodile leather and snake skin and stingray, and just like nature has just the most amazing texture out there. But that also kind of transcended into H.R. Geiger or Gaga, the artist behind the movie Alien, and he, definitely that biomechanical look was a huge influence on us in our personal style and what we were making. And then also like we went to Burning Man for the first time, and we had mohawks, and we're into this like weird kind of thing, and everyone started mentioning Mad Max, and we're like, Mad Max, what do you mean? And they're like, you haven't seen Mad Max? And then we went down that rabbit hole. Like, we were quite young and realized, like, oh shit, this is this apocalyptic themed kind of reality. It was always kind of what we were doing without knowing there was a movie that kind of like set the tone for it. So
People assume that we watched Mad Max and then got our style from it, but we were just doing it, and then we watched Mad Max and we're like, whoa.
Yeah, it is in line with it. It definitely is. It's cool. Like it's not like it's really I think it's really awesome. You know, I think I love the edginess of it all. So that's really cool. So you talk about vaporwave, but what other color combinations do you like never really tire of?
black on black on black on black.
I think that's a fairly good
scale of black that exists, combining. Beau has done whole pieces that he's done these sculptural pieces with different, they're all scales of black, of oxidized, of matte, of shiny, but they're like, you know, definitely we've explored black, and I think that's where now, you know, we started doing these jackets that were like colorful punk style, and then now we're just like maybe a little exhausted on black, that we're into, like Beau said, like his vaporwave colors, but also like bright neons. Beau's doing a lot of black with like electric green, which is maybe also inspired by like, not inspired by, but like Billie Eilish, you know, had that whole black and green thing. But I look back to like our uncle. He was a motorcycle mechanic, and he always wore bright green because he was a Kawasaki guy. And so it was like that Kawasaki racing green. So, you know, that was like in the early 90s. And now when I see all of this stuff recycled through again, I love all of that, like all of that color combinations, black with neons and stuff, which we never would have thought we'd be into working with. But now with the jacket line, we've definitely gone full color in a lot of ways, I think.
Yeah, with Jungle Tribe, we've stayed pretty black mostly. We ventured into red on a few pieces lately, but it's primarily stayed black. But with Dustin and Beau, we've just allowed ourselves to experiment with all colors. But as far as the green goes, I really like the spinach green font that our old computers had. I don't know, I'm really into that like retro kind of green era. I don't know, maybe I'll find there's some term for it, like I found vaporwave. There might even be a term for that movement, but
I remember in the 80s, well, like late 80s, early 90s, because I'm actually 40. So
we are too.
Oh, y'all are? Okay. Yeah.
Just turned 40 September 3rd.
Oh, happy birthday. I was July 24th.
Oh wow.
Really? Wow.
So yeah, so so that those neon colors, well, you know, like whenever we were like, you know, 11, 10, 9, those neon colors were in.
Yeah.
You know, like I remember, you know, putting my socks over my tight roll of jeans. so I agree with those colors. I don't like everything that came back from the 80s, but some things I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so who are your personal style icons, if you have any?
I would say like as of lately, like Rico Nasty came out a few years ago, and I just loved her hard soft look. Is kind of like really tough but still feminine. Billie Eilish, I mean, I just love everything about her. I mean, as a pop star, the fact that she just recorded an album in her parents' house with her brother, and her whole, you know, wearing all this baggy stuff, and she's always got like really interesting like I don't even know how to describe Japanime graffiti, like just I don't know. It's fresh because it's not Barbie doll. It's just like she is who she, I don't know. I think it's
Real.
a style. Yeah, really real.
Yeah, I
I,
agree.
I wouldn't have any like real mainstream. Well, I mean, she's like the biggest pop star now, but apart from that, I don't know. What do you think, Beau?
Uh, FKA Twigs, um, fashion wise and just inspiration wise, how she keeps trying different things and learning new things and really going for it, I'd say.
Cool. So, what would be one of your biggest fashion faux pas, either personally or professionally? If you have one. If not, that's okay too.
Well, I think like like we were talking like at the beginning, like fashion is like art where it's interpretive. So I don't really I don't really think I have any faux pas because you can kind of do whatever you want, and it's all how someone will interpret it.
That's true.
Like I see like luxury fashion brands, and you go into these stores and you look at these pieces and like you're like, oh, the zipper is intentionally like 15 inches longer than the garment, and that's okay. That's expensive, or like just they just random weird tweaks. So trying to be different, then they're trying too hard. To me, that's a bit of a it's not even a faux pas. It's just they're trying too hard, and it's just not cool. But again, I don't. That's interpretive. I'm not the person behind those pieces, so I don't know. There's brands like I've seen like there's this brand Amiri, which I've just watched from the start go from like taking like denim jean jackets and stitching like Guns N' Roses and different band shirts on the back. He started at Maxfield, and then before you know it, he's like a luxury fashion brand, and he's selling this this rock and roll inspired luxury brand, which is kind of crazy because he's just like commodifying the LA rocker look, but then putting it up, and now he's compared with all of the huge, massive luxury brands, and I wouldn't say it's a faux pas, but it's kind of interesting because I don't know many rockers out there, people in a band that have $1,500 for a pair of ripped jeans.
Yeah.
But power to him for doing it and becoming one of the top luxury fashion brands of just out of his inspiration in LA. So I don't know if I call it a faux pas, but it's kind of like good on him for doing that. I don't know. I'm maybe straying off the topic a little bit.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So
I don't find anything like I don't really think there's any faux pas necessarily. I just enjoy seeing clothes that are flattering. When trends come and go where it's not flattering to the body, that's one thing I just don't understand, because I always just think that like when you tailor clothing to make a body look good is like, or should be, but is nice if that's an end goal of what you're going for. But when when a trend comes and goes that's like to not flatter the body, I don't totally understand that. I wouldn't say it's a faux pas. It's just something I don't understand.
yeah, no, completely understand that. That's understandable. So what do you think, what's one trend that you think doesn't get enough credit today? That
I
maybe
don't.
like understated and needs, should be showcased more.
Yeah, I don't. I'm trying to blank on that one. I was trying to think about that, and I can't really think of anything that I know of that should be more in the forefront. What about you, Beau?
I don't even know if I follow things enough to know what is in the forefront and what's not. Things are so blurred now too, with like which is, we were talking about how social media is a love and hate thing. I think with social media, people have the every style, every look, every design has a chance of getting exposure out there. So I don't necessarily know what's trending or what's popular and what's not, but I guess I guess smaller artists, smaller DIY artists, there probably is a lot of them out there that their trends aren't getting enough exposure because of Instagram and Facebook changing their algorithms and making you kind of have to pay to get your ads and your photo. You have to sponsor and pay to get exposure now. So
Right.
sorry, that's a tough one.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, because now that I'm thinking about it myself, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, do I even know the trends of
Yeah, right.
I'm like, my son is 11, so he's my son. He's not a daughter, so he's not really into all that, And so I'm like, unless it's not like anything to do with Minecraft or Fortnite, I have nothing. I have no idea. Like, I don't know. I'm sure whenever my daughter gets older, I'll be able to kind of follow along, maybe, sort of, But the one thing that I know that's in that is like, I'm sorry, and if y'all like it, I'm so sorry, but white Crocs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once there was a girl, and she was in his, like, at his karate school, and she's like, oh, I just have to have some. And I was like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't. You don't have to.
It's like it's the Birkenstock thing. I apologize if whoever out there is into that trend, but like for us, that we grew up with like the older uncle or something wearing like socks and Birkenstocks, and it was like back then we're like, no. So now I see these young kids with it, and I'm like, I can't do it. I mean, when I see Doc Martens, I'm like, oh yeah, that reminds me of that era, and there's certain things that I'm like, I'm super thrilled to see coming back again, but like certain things are hard. But if you grew up in like if you were a teenager like in the 80s, that must have been that's even more tough to see some of that stuff coming back. But.
Yeah, I can imagine, because I know that some things I'm like, even whenever like skin tight jeans came back into style, I was like, the girl's like, you need to try some on in the store, and I was like, no, I don't. So do you whenever you're creating and you have your piece in the workshop and you're creating, even if it takes like a year, if it takes whatever, is there any kind of music that you like to listen to that keeps you inspired, or that I know Metallica might be one of them, but like, do you have anybody else that you listen to while you're working?
Yeah, like we was mentioning, our love of jungle and drum and bass music is like, it's always there, and different weird bass music. But we have to change, when you're in the studio or workshop, you're there for 8 to 10 hours some days. So you're like, you kind of have to change it up. And we go all over the board. Even sometimes when you're just really concentrating and doing computer work, like some house music that's just like, it doesn't really, it's super boring in a way, but it's great because it's just there to be in the background. But also like, yeah, rock and indie music and kind of a bit of everything. What are you listening to these days, Beau? Got any things I should be listening to?
Yeah, with Spotify and SoundCloud, you can go down rabbit holes where you find something you like, and then all of a sudden you go down this whole rabbit hole finding music of a certain genre that you like. So sometimes that happens, and that's amazing. And I put on like some surf rock the other day, and I was like, yeah, this is cool. And I went down this whole rabbit hole, found a bunch of good stuff. but then some days you look at your playlist and your music and you struggle. You're like, you put something on, you're like, this isn't right for this mood.
Yeah, this is your
right.
whole flow of your day because you're constantly trying to change the music. Every song you're like, no, no, no. And some days you put one song and the radio just takes you the whole day, and you're like writing stuff down. Like, this is great.
But it does inspire. You know, like I had some like old Rob Zombie combined with like Slayer and Horror, this newer band that we're listening to, and I just went down into this rabbit hole, and then I was able to finish this jacket that had sat there for so long, and I think it was the music that inspired me to like get into the mode of what I was working on. So music definitely inspires and changes what you feel like working on. You know, on days when you have the opportunity to just decide what you work on. But generally for like concentrating type music that is appealing to everyone around. Like if your mother was in the room, she would be like, oh, this is nice. If your son was in the room, they'd be like, oh, this is nice. Is like lo-fi hip hop. There's a lot of different stations that it's like they say you can study and sleep too. So that's kind of been, if I can't find anything that I'm liking in that moment, that's a fallback. Lo-fi hip hop is real chill. No, not many lyrics, real calm. It's kind of the right BPM.
So do either of you, aside from being awesome fashion designers and artists, do you have another kind of hidden talent? Like, do you cook, or I can't bake, barely can cook, but do y'all might have a hidden talent?
I don't know about hidden talent per se, because talent also, I feel that the word talent is, I mean, kind of the older I get, I'm like, I realize that talent means when you first try something, you're a little bit better naturally at someone else at it, maybe, if that's a definition. But then over time, if you put the time in, then you will get better. You can suck initially at something, have no talent, but really it's the long run of putting time into something that you can become good at anything. Mm-hmm. I've been into, and it all often takes a back burner, but I've been into like messing around with producing electronic music, and so I've got a little music studio. But again, it's tough to battle with being a dad, having a kid, and Zoom school life and work life, and then being creative in a music studio. But when I can, it's like really one of my passions.
Yeah, we both have DJ'd together for years, but on and off got kind of what do you call it, like back burner with everything else that we do. But Dustin's been more on the music production end, and then, you know, I still play for parties and for fun. But yeah, what else do we do?
You surf. That's a talent. That's a
talent.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. No, that's great. So how do you think COVID has affected your business? Or has it?
It was a positive thing in that we had already been making face masks just out of stylistically, we always liked the look of that apocalyptic kind of look. So we have been making leather face masks that we sold for use at Burning Man, where, you know, you want to protect yourself from the dust and whatnot. And so then when things first started really heating up, we had stock of them, and there was this definitely shortage of masks. So we saw a really good influx of business during that first initial time period. And I think just a number of things of us being more involved online, and there's kind of a number of factors that led us to having our presence kind of increased during it. So we've been doing a lot better since COVID, actually. Also, we are primarily an online business. We do some wholesale, but so we're kind of fortunate in that we've been doing good. I think a lot of people who already had a strong online presence have felt that too. People are at home ordering stuff. We'll see once the stimulus money all runs out what will happen. But for now, things are.
I think for us, what COVID did is our business was already struggling pretty hard before COVID hit. So when it hit, we had to start looking at everything again, everything that we were doing, everything that we were spending money on. And we kind of took back some things, started looking at them and doing them ourselves. You just basically analyze everything, because when you feel like you're going to go bankrupt, you have to really start look at every aspect of your business. And I think doing that enabled us to see areas that we were spending too much money in, areas that needed more of our attention, areas that needed specifically us to do. There are some things you can't hire someone to do. You can, but it's best to take a look at it, relearn it again, and then pass it off again. So there was all kinds of things that we reevaluated and looked at because of it. And I think COVID actually gave us the time, because with orders slowing down, all of a sudden you do have the time, rather than just trying to keep up to your operation that's kind of rolling all the time. Gives you the time to look at it and analyze. So luckily for us, because we're online, we were able to survive it, and things are good. Unfortunately, for a lot of designer friends and artist friends that we have that base their business model on selling to retail shops, they all got hit wholesaling to retail shops. Wholesaling to physical storefronts. They all got hit really hard, especially LA, New York, and all the kind of like fashion areas. Shops are just physically closed, not being able to open. And once they did open, it's really hard to get people into them again, and because of what's happened. So fortunately, we based our entire platform on selling online. So we were okay, but it's been really tough for a lot of people that we know.
Yeah, I can.
We have a lot of friends who have just had all of their orders canceled. Stores will make big orders and then they will just cancel because the store physically doesn't have the money to stock anymore because things aren't selling because they're not open. It's like, yeah.
So that has that trickle effect, so to y'all as wholesalers. So what are 3 things that you love about the city or country that you live in?
For me living in LA, coming from Canada, obviously I love the weather here. It's like sunny, like 300 days a year, it seems, out of the year. I love the LA lifestyle culture, the food truck culture, the Latino culture, it's such a melting pot of culture here. And then the third thing I love about it is the resources we have downtown, the manufacturing industry, the fact that I can get, I'm not really I don't love fabric, interestingly enough. I really like working with leather more just because of touch and feel and everything. Yeah. But downtown, there's pretty much every material supplier you need. So I think,
awesome.
Yeah, it makes it cool. You, Beau?
I hate to be a twin and copy on this one, but weather for sure. My mood, my inspiration, my energy, everything is affected by weather. I'm affected more by weather than like You know, some people more are into like star signs and star galactic kind of movements. Me, it's the weather. So yeah, weather, culture, culture is what I love. It's what inspires me. And what did you say last? I thought it was a good one too.
Oh, just the
Oh,
resources.
materials and supplies. That's a big thing. Having access to materials and supplies. And if you don't have access to that material or supply, figuring out being somewhere where you can either have someone make it or figure out yourself how to make it if you lack that material or supply. Those are big when you're trying to make things.
I can imagine. I can imagine like, okay, well, you have this idea and then it allows it to come to life because you actually have the things that you need. So do you have any guilty pleasure? Like, do you watch the Kardashians or do you, you know, like anything that whatever kind of guilty pleasure?
I mean, I love smoking weed, and I'm not guilty about it.
Okay, no, that's okay.
That's like the one thing that at the end of the day, it's just like, it allows me to take all of these little pieces of the puzzle, and then it just like, I can see the whole picture again. You know, you get so caught up in the mundane and the tasks and the day and the things, and then that for me is just like the unwind, and also creatively in the studio. I like it. That's my guilty pleasure. Non-guilty pleasure.
Guilty, non-guilty.
So Beau, what about you? Do you have any guilty pleasure or not guilty pleasure?
I mean, you know, scrolling is something that I feel guilty about, but then I also use it to like find cool videos and find cool inspiration and stuff. For whatever reason right now, I mean, I know the reason, but you know, Facebook is pumping with American politics, and it's like I get to the point sometimes like, why do I really care? I'm not living there right now. I'm Canadian. Why do I care so much about this stuff? I mean, that's a whole other thing to get into. But yeah, it's a guilty pleasure to scroll and look through things and read articles and look at posts and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's like in our parents' era, they used to watch TV when they came home from work.
Yeah.
I've never really been a TV person personally, but it's the thing that you do, but you feel terrible about doing.
Yeah.
So that's guilty. Yeah, guilty.
Yeah. No, that's cool. So who do you think has been one of your greatest professional influences? You said the book before, but were there any like personal ones that you knew, any mentors or anybody along the way that helped guide you to where you are right now?
Oh, yeah, any?
Yeah, I mean, when I watch someone who has become famous, whether they're an artist or a performing artist or whatever, and they use their platform to send a positive message, use their influence to positively affect people, for me, that's the biggest thing, because that's like eventually the point that I want to get to, where we're not just making stuff and you know, sure, we're making stuff, but if we can positively affect people and make people think, I mean, I don't want to get too political, but you know, and I'm just watching people pursue their passions and try new things, you know, like I mentioned before, FKA Twigs, or what Lady Gaga has done with her platform, to speak out and try to help people. So yeah, those are two people I can just think of right now. There's a lot, but that's just what comes to my mind right now. Does.
Yeah, I don't know about professional influence. I enjoyed watching the Last Dance documentary on Michael Jordan, which was just interesting to see the inside scoop on. That doesn't really relate to fashion or anything, but just his drive to win, I thought was really interesting. Not everyone has that, but as far as like a professional influence, I don't really have any.
In a way, y'all kind of been each other's. You know, you've been able to lean upon each other and to kind of gather strength. I mean, just from the hour-long time frame that I've gotten to know y'all.
Or if we're like going overboard here with the questions.
Yeah. No, it's okay. No, it's fine. So I would say that your biggest accomplishment, do you think that your biggest accomplishment per se, I know it says jewelry design. I didn't mean to put jewelry design. That was in there. But do you think that your biggest accomplishment would be the Lady Gaga or jacket, or would it be another design?
I guess it depends how you define accomplishment, like personal or like what, or something that's gotten us the most success in the outside world. Which
However you would like to define it.
What do you think, Dust?
Well, I mean, yeah, that was big, but also just like any of these situations we've had where people are really inspired with what we do has been that gives us a lot of feeling of accomplishment, because I feel like we're pretty. I mean, we may have a tough look, but we're really humble and really grateful, like through and through, from the start to finish, of everything that we've done. That just staying humble through everything. That like the accomplishments also just staying alive in business these days.
Right.
We've seen a lot of people come and go, and to the fact that we're still working for ourselves and still making things happen, we get a sense of accomplishment through that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you say your dream project would be?
Well, if we were approached by some brand that we look up to do a collab, that would be kind of a dream project. Somehow working with Billie Eilish or some of these people that have been influential, and I think it's important to at least say it out loud and put it in your psyche, because that's the first step to making it possibly happen. It's really tough. It's hard because you can really want something, and it doesn't always, the success or the accomplishment doesn't always come directly from what you put in one level. Sometimes it comes back years later, or it's a weird tangled web. But
Right.
Yeah, probably just working with like when I was thinking of that question earlier, I was like, well, working with Lady Gaga was a huge dream come true that I didn't even. I mean, just the fact that she's just this, like, her own fashion sense has been, and her or not fashion sense, but her artistry and all the wild things she's worn. So to be part of that was kind of like a dream. Yeah.
Anything to add, Beau?
Dream project?
Yeah.
I mean, if I was to set it high enough, I like the idea of an entire stage design, coming up with the whole concept, the whole stage decor, backdrop, and everything everyone's wearing, to be and visuals, and having like being kind of creatively in control of an entire stage performance design concept is kind of a dream. That's like, I've always been into that stuff and gotten dabbled in it in a little bit of working on some decor elements on some stages. And I think that's a dream, like kind of in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Not just like what we're doing with fashion and clothing and stuff, but going beyond more into like sculptural and like design.
Yeah. Well, do y'all have anything upcoming? I know with COVID and everything, it throws everybody's plans out the window. But do you have any exciting projects upcoming that you would like to share?
I think like Beau was just mentioning, like, I know, well, I'll speak on Beau's behalf, but he's been working more with casted components and kind of sculptural art, and a still back burner project is doing more just wall art, but our style.
Mm-hmm.
So that is kind of a project that hopefully this winter we'll have more time to work on. So it's not really an exciting project, and it's not like we have an art show coming up, but inevitably that would be kind of cool to just have something that's immersive and kind of beyond just clothing, 2D and 3D sculptural stuff.
Very cool, very cool. Well, that is awesome. I really, really, really appreciate y'all getting on here and answering these questions.
Thank you for having us. That was the first time we've actually ever done anything like this, and it's
awesome.
It's surprising to us because we're small town kids, and we're just, again, we're in this small microcosm of reality in LA, and I've only lived here for, well, I guess it's almost 10 years now, so it's been an honor for us too, because nobody's really asked us our story, and we don't really present ourselves as the face of the brand. We know we probably should be more of it, but we just kind of take a back step to it. So thank you.
I found y'all via Etsy.
Yeah.
I just started. No, and it's really cool because I really appreciate you coming on Zoom, because not everybody will, and to allow me to record it, because like artists will sit there and they'll be like, oh, this is so cool, these are actual fashion designers, and and somebody in Canada or somebody in Maine or something is like, oh, and they get inspiration from this possibly. So I hope.
One question, I went to your website and I kind of I flipped through different preview of articles. Mm-hmm. So to get the full article, do you go to the Kindle app? Is that where you go to?
Yeah. So to get, because y'all are in the actual publication, I'm gonna send it to y'all. I'll send you the full copy. It'll be a PDF. Okay. And so you'll see the whole entire issue or whatever. Because of the way that Kindle operates, Kindle does not allow you to just give it away for free.
Of course,
if you're on Kindle, then you have to so I've been toying with the idea, okay, I could have it say for 3 or 5 days or whatever, just on the website, and then until I can get it up on Kindle, and then once I get it up on Kindle, then I have to only do a preview on the website. So I might do that. But if people are actually in it, I'm going to send you a PDF of it.
Okay.
So just you can have it for your purposes or whatever. I am in the process of eventually getting it to where it will be to where you can buy a hard copy of it.
Oh, cool.
It's a little bit more, a few more hoops, but I know how to. I have my own. I used to be a wedding planner.
Okay.
And so I have my own, this is my wedding planner book on Amazon. So I know how to publish on Amazon. And so it's not the easiest, but it's not the hardest. It's got to be a certain format and stuff like that. So eventually I'm going to get to that point where it can be bought worldwide as a hard copy.
Cool.
And the past copies will be as well. But I just have to get to it.
Yeah, of course. Well, good luck with everything. Keep doing what you're doing, and thank you again for the opportunity.
Awesome. No
Yeah,
problem. No problem.
what you're doing for artists is amazing, and there's not enough of it out there. So I feel like what you're doing is really special.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted to create some sort of platform, pathway, showcase, whatever word you want to call it, for contemporary artists, and not those stuffy magazines where they're just like, you know, talking about classical art or some, you know, like I don't want that. Like I want the raw, I want the real, you know, the interesting art. And that's what this is, you know. So I really appreciate y'all being a part of it.
Thanks.
So cool. Well, great. Well, I will be getting this transcribed and everything done before, and then I try to really do publish it on the 1st. So
Are you talking October or
yeah,
November?
October.
Okay, cool. So tomorrow I'll definitely get all that stuff to you.
Yeah. So I'm hoping to get it all, and I'll work on it throughout the weekend. And if there's any delay in it, I'll definitely contact y'all.
Okay.
But I'm hoping for October 1st, because that's
Cool.
next Thursday.
That's coming up.
Yeah, that's next Thursday. So
Okay.
yeah, it doesn't take me much. So yeah. So cool.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
Well,
Okay.
thank y'all so much. And I'll be chatting with y'all.
Okay.
All righty.
Okay. Bye.